What's up, you guys? Happy, I don't even know, whatever day you're listening to. Happy day. What's up? How's it going? I'm your host, Migdalia Bonilla. Welcome to another episode of Life with Migdalia. I absolutely have just one thing to say. My girlfriend and I celebrated our 2-year anniversary this past week. Yeah, this past week. And when I say that, the long-lasting relationships, whatever, awesome, it just feels like we've been together a lot longer, only because we've lived together for a year and a half, since the first 6 months of our relationship was long distance, but we ended up going to Oklahoma, like Tulsa, Oklahoma, to go to an aquarium, because I love aquariums, and I even more so love aquariums where you can pet the animals. So if they have stingrays or something, you better expect to find me sitting by a fucking pool with the stingrays and petting those bitches for at least a few hours, because I am not leaving. They are one of my favorite animals. They feel so incredibly smooth, but also like slimy in a good way. I don't even know how to like explain. Sorry for the heavy breathing. I'm just getting over like my allergies being fucking insane. But we couldn't pet them. They only have specific hours where you can pet them, but I did get to feed them. My girlfriend bought like a $5 cup of, I don't know, I think it was like shrimp. And you put them on like this long plastic stick that kind of has not like a hook, but it's to mimic a hook. It's just a long plastic stick, maybe an inch long, maybe half an inch long. So that way you could stick the shrimp on them and then they can eat it. But they were so cute. Oh my God. And then they had a giant fucking sea turtle, and his name was Seymour, and he kept like running into the glass and like hitting his eye. And he wasn't doing it like hard. It was very gentle. But we ended up staying there for like an hour and then going to the Cheesecake Factory, where we love to go. But Oklahoma, especially Tulsa, like we were driving down and I kept seeing like Broken Arrow. And one of my favorite book series as a kid takes place in Tulsa. And it just made my heart squeeze, because all I saw was Broken Arrow and the main character from, it's the House of Night book series by Kristen and PC Cast. The student takes place like in Broken Arrow High School. So I thought like seeing it was kind of cool, and just being in Tulsa really was like, I know it's fictional, but I really wish they had the vampire House of Night like school there. I mean, maybe they do, and I just need to look into it, but I highly doubt it. It was just cool, like being in a place where one of my favorite childhood books took place. I was like, oh my God, yes. But I actually listened to audiobooks a few years ago. I think 3 years ago. And it's definitely like a little cheesy, like definitely for teenagers, but I reread those books like hundreds of thousands of times. So it's honestly where I fell in love with the name Zoe, with a Y, Zoey, and just overall, like, another vampire type of book. I prefer it over Twilight, to be honest. Like, it's not as cheesy as Twilight, but when I was younger, I was always like find actors or actresses that I would deem that looked like closest to the characters. I wonder if I still have the notes in my phone, honestly, because yeah, no, I made full lists of all that. I don't think I do. I think I deleted them a long time ago. But the girl who plays in The Boys, oh, what the hell's her name? She plays Starlight or something in The Boys. The Boys actress. Okay. Erin Moriarty. She would definitely play Stevie Ray, like in one of those in the fucking book. Or like, oh, what's his name? Donovan. Matt Donovan from Vampire Diaries would definitely play like Heath. If like I would just go all in and look on Pinterest and do that thing when I was younger, and I still remember that shit. So good books really feed the soul. But other than that, I don't have anything new. So getting into this topic with validation isn't intimacy, because a lot of y'all like to mistake that attention for love, and frankly, it's unhealthy. So we're going to talk about it, because I used to be the same exact way. And it's really irritating. It lowers your self-confidence, and it makes you think, well, what the hell did I do wrong that makes them not want to stay in my life? They could be obviously parents, uh, friends, relationships. I should say romantic relationships, because it's always about a relationship. Talking stages, dating. It's very not, I don't want to say inconvenient. It's very difficult to navigate the whole attention versus love. And if you're just wanting validation, it's different. And we're going to have the full breakdown, okay? This is one of the most misunderstood truths in modern dating. And it's at the root of why so many of, us people feel wanted but not loved, or chosen but not kept, and seen but not understood. Okay? And I'll break it down for you as much as I possibly can. So, what does attention isn't love actually mean? Attention is the momentary focus. You see a pretty person, a hot girl, an attractive guy, whatever, you're walking through and like, damn, they're really fucking hot. I would love to get their phone number and talk to them. And that's the initial attraction. Okay? They're giving you compliments, eye contact, the sexual energy, they're quick with replies, they're always flirty, they show interest, But the love part is consistent care, commitment, and the emotional responsibility. And when someone gives you all of those, it does not automatically mean that they value you, okay? Attention is a moment and love is a pattern. Attention is about them, their desire, their boredom, their impulses. Love is about you and them, the mutual effort, the emotional safety, and the long-term consistency that they have. And you can deeply starve and still be fed those little breadcrumbs, okay? I used to think like, oh, so and so is texting me. They are being flirty. They're definitely interested in me. And then you think of all of these things like, oh, they're asking you to send them pictures. They only text you when they want to hook up. They only text you when they want something. They're only around out of convenience because they're filling their desires. That's what happens with most of the hookups that we've talked about previously. It stems with this most of the time. Now, some people, which in my case, before I realized like, hey, I don't want this anymore, I sought the validation in a way because I liked the attention. You know what I mean? So in my previous relationships, sure, give me attention, whatever. And I was fine in that moment, like, oh, all I want is their attention. But then when you get out of a relationship, you're like, you know what? It's nice to feel desired by other people. So that's why you go on the dating apps. You see how many people like you. Your inbox is flooding in with all of these text messages, and it's a confidence booster, okay? It's one of those moments where like, damn, I'm really fucking hot and people want me. This is crazy. But the difference, they want your attention just like you want their attention for only one thing, and that is to hook up, to talk to someone who's attractive, to see how y'all mesh. There would be instances where I would only hit up people to, have them come over, and that's where I would block them shortly after. Or they would text me, be like, hey, what are you wearing right now? What are you doing? And I'd be like, either in the mood or I wouldn't be in the mood. And most of the time, I wasn't in the fucking mood. It was based off of my terms and what I wanted, but I was willy-nilly with sending nudes because why the fuck not? I don't care about this person. They could easily go on fucking Pornhub and see some titties or an ass and it would be fine. Everyone's got one, so it wasn't a big deal to me. And then, that would be it. So I would just, spice up the conversation, send a little picture because I wasn't looking to date them. So why the hell not? Doesn't matter. I was very much getting used to being called hot or being called sexy or being beautiful or whatever. But it got so boring to the point where, like, I didn't want that anymore. Like, I decided on my own terms, like, yes, I know I'm attractive. I know I'm beautiful. There'd be points and times where people would come up to me. Let me differentiate. There would be points in time where guys would come up to me and be like, wow, you're really beautiful, or you're cute, or whatever. And I would look at them and be like, I know. Because I started at that point not needing their validation and telling myself that more and more of them saying that. But if girls were like, oh my God, you're so pretty, I wouldn't be like, yeah, I know. Because I feel like the difference between having a guy call you beautiful versus having like a random girl call you beautiful, you're like, oh my God, thank you. Girl, you're so cute and beautiful too. Oh my God, your outfit is amazing. Like, there's a difference, okay? I'm not going to be cocky when it comes to a friend or a fellow girl's girl coming up to me like, oh my God, you're so pretty. Like, yeah, I would never just be like, I know, because it's kind of gross when girls do that, in my opinion. Like, I'd see it happen with my friend would go up to another girl, be like, oh my God, girl, you are so pretty. And at one point, this girl was like, I know. And my friend turned around and she's like, yeah, she immediately became ugly as soon as she said, I know. Like, have that energy with men, okay? Don't have that with other girls, like, trying to hype you up. It's weird. It's gross. But I then started having the confidence of being like, I know that I'm attractive. I don't need this validation for them telling me all of these things because, yes, I know I have a fat ass. Yes, I know I'm pretty. Yes, I know my freckles are cute. Yes, I know I have a beautiful smile. Yes, I know, I know, I know, I know. I don't need you to tell me. And that was only in the dating part. Like, my girlfriend, oh my God, she could shower me in compliments, and I'd be like, yes, ma'am. Or in her case, yes, sir. We have masculine presenting things over here, baby. But here's the thing. Why do people seek attention? Okay, the psychology and the childhood patterns. Because, yes, those go hand in hand with each other. People crave the attention for many reasons, most of which tie back to early emotional experiences. We have the childhood emotional neglect. So, if you grew up without consistent affection, your brain may become wired to chase any small signs of approval. You're not dramatic, okay? Your nervous system learned to beg for closeness. Now, I've said it once, I'll say it again for the sake of this conversation. My parents are not very emotional people. My biological mother also abandoned me. So, leaving those abandonment issues really settle into, okay, well, what the hell did I do wrong? Why didn't she want to stay? And that was in the child aspect. But growing up with parents who aren't as emotional as you are as an individual is very difficult and can sometimes come off in the toxicity, okay? I know my parents love me. I know that they would do anything for me. I know all of these things, but it's one of those instances where yes and can both be true. Both statements can be true. My parents loved me a lot, I know, but they also had their toxic tendencies as well. Those statements can go hand in hand with each other. And the only reason that I believe the toxicity had its way was because my parents, my dad and my mom, were kind of thrown into this, especially my mom. Like, she was thrown in this. She didn't give birth to me. She liked a man who unfortunately had another child with a different woman, and he ended up changing her mind about dating somebody with a child. And in that case, it worked out for her because she didn't really have to deal with my biological mother's drama like a lot of baby mamas and baby daddies do. So it worked out in her favor with that aspect. But she was just thrown into this, okay? She didn't really have 9 months to prepare. It was like, hey, I have a kid, like, you want to meet her, whatever. And like I said before, it worked out. So I had to grow up with my parents, okay? Most people don't know what the hell they're doing when they first have a child, let alone someone who had a kid at 15. Like, you're a child yourself. So by the time my dad was, let's see, how old was I? So I was 7 when I ended up living with him. Between 7 and 8. I was 7 when he lived with them. So 23, 24. If you are either a little younger than 24 or remember being 24 if you are now my age, imagine having a child that is 7 or 8 years old at 23 or 24. Imagine that. That's crazy. So as I've gotten older, I've definitely been able to understand and give my parents grace, because previously when I would podcast and talk about all this stuff, it was more so they were toxic, they did all of this stuff, they were awful, they blah blah blah, 1, 2, and 3, A, B, C, D. But now as I've gotten older, I've realized, like, yeah, they did the best that they could, and maybe they weren't as emotional as me, where I needed someone who was more emotional and validated my feelings rather than being like, I'll give you something to cry about, or you're overreacting, or there's no reason to cry. They've definitely gotten better, in my opinion, with my siblings because, like it or not, I was the trial and error. Okay, I was the firstborn child is always the trial run, and then you can pretty much get it right with the other ones if you want. So it's very different, and I used to get so upset about the fact of, like, they treat my sister differently and they treat my brother differently, or like when my sister was like 12 or I think it was 12, okay? She got a fucking iPhone. And I remember being at that age having a stupid ass track phone where they had to put literal minutes on my phone. And I remember them being like, yeah, we got a deal and she's getting this iPhone. I was like, what the fuck? Mind you, iPhones weren't even really out. Like, they were becoming more popular at that point in time. But I was like, are you actually serious? Like, I didn't even have an iPod until I was about 12 or 13 years old, and it didn't even have a camera on it, and I got it from my uncle. Shout out to him for giving me an iPod, my very first one, but I always got my electronics taken away from me constantly, so that's why I would read a lot, or just hang out in my room, or paint, or do something productive. So I also dealt with, like, my parents screaming in my face when they got mad, or just the not really telling me that I was beautiful in like a positive aspect. It was always like, you're such a beautiful girl, but like, or you're so smart and whatever, but you do the dumbest shit. Like, it was always in a negative context of being complimented, or you're such a beautiful girl. Why do you always do this type of stuff? Blah, blah, blah. Like, and the one compliment that I know for an absolute fact that I remember clear to this day is I was going to homecoming, okay? It was my first homecoming. I was going by myself. Milo, stop licking, please, dear God. It overstimulates me like crazy. I remember being dressed up for my first homecoming as a freshman in high school. And my dad didn't even tell me, like, you're beautiful. And I brought it up at one point, and he was like, well, you have my face. You look exactly like me. And I don't think I'm an ugly person. Therefore, I automatically think that you are an attractive young girl. Like, you're pretty. And oh my God, like that was the only ever compliment that I'd ever gotten about him with my looks. So I struggled for a long, long, long time of needing the validation of somebody actually thinking that I'm attractive or beautiful. I never got that validation at home. So it allowed me, or mentally had me spiraling, gravitating towards anyone who would give me any sort of attention and validation within my looks, within myself, and such. So, being left the breadcrumbs in those negative moments where those compliments, presented themselves was very different. So, we have this low self-worth. So if you don't believe you're lovable, even short-term attention feels like proof that you matter. So anytime you're talking to somebody, especially in high school as a teenager, somebody's telling you, you're beautiful, you're so sexy, oh, I just want to, that is so much different than growing up in a household where you are valued. You're so smart, you're so intelligent, you're clever, you're beautiful, you're all these, this and this. And don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to tell people to, have, like, grow up and think that you're only valued because of your facial features or your body. Okay, that's not what I'm saying. You can be valued in other ways. You're intelligent, your mind is very creative, and I like the way your mind thinks. So every time I would try to give somebody a compliment, I would pinpoint specifically something that I liked about them that was different than just saying, oh my God, you're so pretty, or I think you're so beautiful. It would be like, I love your nose. Like, I wish I could have your nose. Oh my God, your hair is just amazing. Or I love your outfit. Or you have the cutest little smile. Like, simple things like that rather than just saying, oh, like, yeah, you're so hot or you're so beautiful or this and that. Because when we're children and we have that trauma bonding and inconsistent within our caregivers, love in childhood was unpredictable, so inconsistency in adulthood feels like home. That's why a lot of us are addicted to chaos. We think like loneliness plus validation. That's in our head. We're in a digital era where attention equals currency, like having people like our photos or TikToks or Instagram, or having people in our DMs or the swipes. All give the miniature dopamine hits. That's why you're constantly wanting to post or constantly seeking the validation of people liking your things or commenting or this and that, because attention can give you the little dopamine hits that make our brains happy. And then fear of deep intimacy. Some people subconsciously prefer attention over love because attention feels safer. If it doesn't require vulnerability or commitment, then, it's fine. And that was a lot easier to deal with, especially being in a abusive relationship. And abuse can be several other things other than physical. Being in that creates panic attacks, which happened to me a lot after getting out of my 3-year relationship. It sucked. It was awful. And I remember my first one like it was yesterday. Because going through that, I preferred the attention over the actual love, finding love. And we're also socially conditioned, especially for women. Society teaches us to feel validated by being desired. Or men, society teaches you to feel validated by being chosen. So attention hits those scripts. Why attention feels like love, even when it's not? Because it feels similar. It's similar in the way like the body releases dopamine when someone pays attention to you. Oxytocin increases during physical touch, even with people who don't care about you. Validation temporarily quiets your insecurity. Fantasy fills in the gaps the person never actually filled, and your brain goes, I feel good, they must care. But the simple truth is, I feel good because someone noticed me, not because someone loves me. Attention is intoxicating while love is grounding. But how do we tell the difference? I'll tell you how. I'm giving you a full 101 on this shit, okay? Attention is inconsistent, comes when they're bored, sexual or surface level, fast and intense, disappears when you need them, looks like effort but doesn't support you, feels like a high followed by a crash, and relies on your availability, not your well-being. While love is consistent, shows up even on bad days, makes you feel safe, not confused, slow, steady, intentional, doesn't disappear when problems arise, sees you, not just your body or energy, creates emotional security, and values your feelings, not your reaction. Have you guys ever heard the quote of, if you're confused whether or not they are interested in you, then they're not interested in you? And that's clear as fucking day, okay? If somebody's interested in you, you're going to know without a single shadow of a doubt. If somebody's not interested in you, you're going to be confused and like, what the fuck? Signs you're confusing attention for love. You feel anxious when they don't text back. This means you're depending on their attention to regulate your self-worth, which is not something we want you to do. You replay the good moments even though they were inconsistent because you're holding onto breadcrumbs. They give you excitement, but not stability because this is a trauma response, not genuine compatibility. Your feelings for them grow from fantasy, but not reality because you're falling in love with potential and not their behavior. I would fall into this trap consistently, falling for someone's potential and creating that fantasy in my head, not actually seeing their behavior. So I was very put onto the fact of, okay, if they are interested in me or actually want to pursue dating with me, then they have to go above means to actually show it. And it made me not interested. Like, there was this one guy who, he was like a super great guy, super nice, had a great head on his shoulders, had a full-time job, lived on his own, whatever. I was somewhat in that stage right before I came out of, and I've talked to multiple nice guys, okay, in this instant, who had the same type of level or standard that I was trying to meet, of thinking, oh, they could be a great partner or, you know, this and that. So giving all of these boxes that I wanted them to check, I was kind of like, yeah, I guess I could see myself dating them, but it wasn't like a for sure thing, like, oh my God, yes, I absolutely would love to invest my time into them, okay? This guy took me on one date, we ended up hooking up after, and he was a great guy, okay? Not gonna lie, great guy, super awesome, and then I saw him at the bar. Like, I was still teetering on the fence of like, yeah, he's great, but like, why am I not feeling more for this? Whatever else. And I was trying to find any excuse to like cut it off. And I saw him talking to a bunch of girls, and I was like, yeah, I'm not interested. Which, given that I given that I completely disregarded that whole fucking thing so quickly just because I saw him talking to a couple of girls, then started to piece together of like, I'm actually not interested in this. Like, I'm not interested in him. And it happened like that a few times with a couple of guys that I talked to. I'm like, why am I not feeling more? Why is this not doing this? Like, yeah, I just didn't want anything to do with him. And then I pieced it together and I was like, oh shit, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Right. Another thing is you think about how they make you feel, not how they treat you. Because like we said, attention feels amazing, even when the person is wrong for you. And your body feels tense, not safe. Like your nervous system always tells the truth, and really have to pay attention to that. And why we confuse the two in modern dating, which is a valid question. Okay, we have the hookup culture, like we talked about. Fast intimacy makes it easy to mistake sexual attention for emotional affection. Situationships. Ambiguity blurs boundaries. You get emotional breadcrumbs disguised as closeness. Or the damn dating apps, you get the microdoses of attention from multiple people without true intimacy. You have that fear of being alone. And a lot of people have this issue where they are so scared to be alone or feel lonely. Okay, loneliness makes crumbs look like a meal. And there is such a huge difference between being alone versus feeling lonely. Can you guess what it is? Being alone is actually being, while feeling alone is just a feeling. So they're two different things. I, in the point when I was single, enjoyed being alone. I enjoyed my alone time. That was one of those things where you have to get comfortable enough with yourself. I mean, I still enjoy my alone time because those are necessary for recharging, especially in a relationship, because you're constantly with a person 24/7. So you have to take that alone time, like we've talked about in a previous episode. But feeling lonely is just a feeling. And you have to learn to accept that. And you have to learn to differentiate the two. Like, you could feel alone in a crowded place. You can feel alone in a relationship. You can feel that in the depths of your chest. And it's one of those things where you really have to sit in yourself and be like, I am my own comfort. I am sitting here with myself and I have my own back. Therefore, I don't feel lonely anymore because I know that I'm my own best friend. And it's true. That's how you get out of that hurdle of feeling lonely. Our generation is exhausted because most people are emotionally unavailable, but still crave the connection, and attention becomes the compromise. And how do we avoid falling for attention instead of love? You have to slow down the timeline. If you delay sex, deep vulnerability, emotional labor, expectations, you'll get a clearer picture of their true intentions. Because if somebody says, I don't want sex, or I want to wait till the third date to have sex, or I want to wait till the seventh date to have sex, you can see they're based on their reaction of, yeah, I can do that for the third date versus the seventh date. They're going to be two different reactions. Like, yeah, I can hold out for the third date. So let's get to the third date because I know she's going to have sex, or I know they're going to have sex with me. Versus the seventh date, they actually have to work for it. And given that, they might either ghost you because they don't want to waste their time trying to get you in bed. Or if they actually like you, they're going to be like, you know what, that's perfectly fine. I really enjoy this connection. I enjoy this date. I enjoy you as a person. So yeah. And you have to ask the better questions early. What are you looking for right now? How do you show up for someone you care about? What does consistency mean to you? Ask those questions. You shouldn't be scared to ask those questions, especially if you know what you want, okay? Observe their patterns, not their words, which is what I was talking about earlier of they have to show me versus tell me, because I'm not going to believe a goddamn thing somebody says, especially being with Pugsley after he sat there and told me to my face of, I would never cheat on you, you're so amazing, you're this and that. Like, I'll get more into it in the next episode, but he did all of this shit in front of my face and said all of these things that my trust issues were dog shit after. So I made the rule of, yeah, if somebody's interested in me, they have to show me, not tell me. Anyone can tell you that they care, but the only thing that's going to prove it is their consistency. And you have to build internal validation. The less you need external validation, the better you choose partners. So stop feeding addiction cycles. If you're bored or lonely, don't reach out for someone you know isn't genuine. You have to set those boundaries. No more late night texts, no more confusing situations, no more giving access to people who don't commit. Those are the rules that you have to make for yourself, and you have to stick with them, or else how is anybody going to take you seriously? You know what I mean? Ask yourself the real question. Do I like them, or do I like the way they make me feel noticed? That question will save you years. How to attract love instead of attention. Be honest about your intentions. Build emotional intimacy slowly. Prioritize people who prioritize clarity. Avoid environments built around ego hits. Practice saying no to half effort. Choose environments that foster connections, such as hobbies, events, communities, and heal the part of you that thinks attention is all you deserve. When you raise your standards, two things will happen, okay? You lose people who only wanted access to you, and you gain people who want to build with you. And isn't building the better option because it lasts longer? It is. And the deepest truth that I can give you is people don't stay because you impress them. People stay because they feel emotionally safe with you. Attention is temporary. Love is intentional. Attention feeds the ego. Love feeds the soul. Attention is loud. Love is quiet and consistent. So stop mistaking the two and stop wasting your time in the dating scene. And the first step on how to do all of this is sitting down with yourself and thinking, what do I want? Do I want to just have fun? Do I want to just have, hookups and sex? Or do I want something deep, meaningful? Am I ready for that? Are you? And if you have to hesitate on those questions and be like, yeah, then you're not. Because once you're ready, you will know 100% certain that you're like, you know what? I'm ready for a relationship. I'm ready to get back in the dating scene. And when I tell you that the dating scene is fucking exhausting, it is. But you gotta do what you gotta do. And you have to live your own life in order to protect your peace. In doing all of this with the validation and mistaking it for intimacy will give you so much peace once you actually come to terms with it and figure your stuff out. I'm telling you right now, I've been through it. I know exactly what the hell I'm talking about. So try those steps, okay? Come back and notice the progress once you've come to a decision and really sat with yourself about, what you want. And stop letting people give you attention like you're a bad bitch, okay? Even if you're a guy listening, you're a bad bitch, okay? Feel it. Resonate with it. You don't need somebody to tell you you're attractive. You need to tell yourself you're attractive. Because that's the only thing that's going to save your ass. I promise. That's all I gotta say. So that is the end of this episode. If you guys really liked it, enjoyed it, you know what to do, share it, send it to somebody, don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel and follow the Spotify account. If you guys are interested in purchasing products such as jewelry, or anything else that I have on my Etsy page, there's a link in my Instagram bio and TikTok. So my Instagram is Migdalia Bonilla, Migdalia, B as in boy, Onillaa, or Life with Migdalia, Lifewithmigdalia. God, it's so exhausting having a long fucking name, but whatever. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. And like my TikTok and whatever else is pretty much the same. So if you want to give a follow or whatever, do what you gotta do. I appreciate your guys' support, always. If you're interested in listening to, a different topic or have any questions or whatever, don't be scared to comment something or, DM me. More so comment, okay? I look at my comments more than anything. But yeah, so I hope you guys have a great week, and I will see you next time. Love you, bye.